Thanks for clicking on this video. Today we're going to be plotting complex numbers. If you want to follow along, the links to the companion worksheet are in the description below. So what we're given is this complex number, z equals 2 plus 3i. Now x and y are usually reserved for real numbers, and so often you'll see z or w as stand-in variables for complex numbers. Now the way we plot z in the complex plane is, instead of x and y, we have the real and we have the imaginary. So 2 is the real part. So that means we're going to go 2 spaces along the real axis. And then 3i is the imaginary part. We're going to put 3i along the imaginary axis. And there is 2 plus 3i. There is that complex number. That's how we graph it. Now, part B says we want to calculate the absolute value of z. At least that's what it looks like. Now, this is just another way of saying the magnitude of z. Now, another way to think about this is, besides magnitude, is what is the distance from 0? Because that's what absolute value meant when we just had a single number. Well, that's the same thing here. We want to know what is the distance from the origin, from 0. So the way we can think about that is like a right triangle. This length is 2, this length is 3. So when I use Pythagorean theorem, 2 squared is 4, and 3 squared is 9. So this is the square root of 4 plus 9. So that's the square root of 13. So that is the magnitude, or the absolute value, of this complex number. Now, letter C says we want to plot negative z. Now, this means the opposite. So negative z equals negative 2 minus 3i. Everything becomes opposite. So now, for the real and the imaginary, I'm going to go negative 2 in the real direction. So I'm going to go 2 spaces in the opposite way. Then I'm going to go 3 spaces in the opposite way down. So here is negative 2 minus 3i. Now, letter D says I want that magnitude. I want to see how far away it is from 0. Well, I still went over 2 and down 3, just went in different directions. So this magnitude is the same as what we found in part B. It is square root of 13. Now letter E, with that bar on top, means we want the conjugate. So the way we write the conjugate, z bar is 2 minus 3i. So I have the real and the imaginary. So I'm going to go 2 spaces in the real direction, but I'm going to go negative 3 spaces in the imaginary direction. So here is 2 minus 3i. And here again, we want to find the magnitude. We go over 2 and down 3, so this magnitude is going to be the same as what we had before. Square root of 13. Now on the second page, here we have 2 complex numbers. 2 plus 4i is w, and 3 minus 2i is z. So for part A, we want to plot w plus z. So first we have to add them. So I'm going to add the real components. 2 and 3 equal 5. 4i and negative 2i equal positive 2i. So to graph this, I have the real and the imaginary. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, or the imaginary. And so here is 5 plus 2i. So to find the absolute value or the magnitude of this number, let's see, I'm going over 5. So 5 squared is 25, and I go up 2 2 squared is 4. So we have square root of 29. Now letter C, we want to plot the conjugate of W plus the conjugate of Z. So first we have to figure out what is the conjugate of W. So go up here and we take 2 minus 4i. Only the imaginary part becomes opposite. The real part stays as is. The conjugate of Z is 3 plus 2i. So now I'm going to add these two. So when I add these two, 2 and 3 make 5. 4i and 2, negative 4i and 2i is minus 2i. So we have the real, the imaginary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go 5 in the real direction, negative 2 in the imaginary direction. So we have 5 minus 2i. Now this is more or less just the conjugate of that. So this is the same distance away. Square root of 29. All right. Now letter E, we want to plot the conjugate of W plus Z. Now this is different than this. Here we found the conjugates first and then added them. Here we want to add them first, which we already did in part A. That's 5 plus 2i. And then we find the conjugate of that. So we have 5 minus 2i. So in this case, it turns out to be the same thing as letter C. And so because of that, the magnitude is also the same thing. All right. So letter F, letter F we did. Letter G, we want to plot the conjugate of W plus the conjugate of, that should be a Z. Now, we've already found the conjugate of W plus the conjugate of Z. We did that in part C. Got that right here. That's 5 minus 2i. So now we want to find the conjugate of that. 2i. And so that we've also done. That is right up here. We did that in part A. And so the magnitude is also the same. That is also the square root of 29. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more, click the subscribe button. To support the channel, look at all the links down in the description below. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best way to understand something is to do it.